Good morning. My name is Jenny Gimignani, and I'll be your service coordinator today. Let's begin by lighting our chalice to create a sacred shared space. This chalice is the container, the space where the musicians and the listeners gather. The oil is the fuel, the hours of practice, and the life experiences of everyone in the room. The wick is the instruments and vocal cords through which the music will flow. And the flame is the music which is created, as if by magic. When the instruments are lifted, the breath is inhaled and the downbeat is nodded. May this flame ignite the music within us all. While we may be physically distant, know that we are here to support each other. Reach out to our minister, Reverend Cynthia Kane, by email or cell phone if you need any assistance. Now, let us worship together. Welcome to all of you joining us for the first time or after having been a member for decades. Our mission states that the transforming power of love is our core belief. We embody a sanctuary of compassion, integrity, and respect, and we champion justice, equity, and peace. For this, to me, means that love is love, Black Lives Matter, climate change is real, no human being is illegal, women's rights are human rights, and all genders are whole, holy, and good. As people who have chosen to gather virtually together today, we have the opportunity to recommit to each other and our world with our covenant. If these words hold truth for you, please join me in reading them. We covenant together to make a welcoming community, to walk together in the way of truth and love, to seek the life of the Spirit as it is known by each person, to support each other in thought, word, and deed as we work to build a better world. It has been such a spirit restorer to me to work on this service with Elizabeth. She has crafted a musically spirited, joy-filling service for all of us while sharing her truth. And we get to begin today with her singing Change, a song by Tracy Chapman.
If you knew that you would die today and you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that love can break your heart when you're down so low you cannot fall, would you change? Would you change? How bad, how good does it need to get? How many losses, how much regret? What chain reaction would cause an effect? Makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. If you knew that you would be alone, cause and effect. Makes you turn around, makes you try to explain, makes you forgive and forget, makes you change, makes you change. Are you so upright you can't be bent if it came to blows? Are you so sure you won't be crawling? If not for the good, why risk falling? Why risk falling? If everything you think you know makes your life unbearable, would you change? Would you change? If you've broken every rule and vow, and hard times come to bring you down, would you change? Would you change? If you knew that you would die today, if you saw the face of God and love, would you change? Would you change? Would you change? Would you change?
That, my friends, is a small piece of the joy that's to come and the honest truth that Elizabeth will be sharing with us. As a reminder, we are all muted, so you should feel free to sing and dance as much as the spirit moves you to today. Kristen and I were rocking out, I know I saw, so keep it up, everybody. For our Time for All Sages today, Elizabeth has chosen a story about a musician who has to work hard to find her people to share her spirit, her joy, and her song. Violet's Music by Angela Johnson. It is read by Sankofa Read Aloud, and we actually reached out to her and she said she was honored to have us share this video in our service.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Sankofa Read Aloud. Today's story is titled Violet's Music, written by Angela Johnson, illustrated by Laura Holiska Beath. I hope that you enjoy this beautiful story. When Violet was a baby, just a few hours old, she banged her rattle against the crib, hoping others in the nursery would join in. Boom shake, beat shake, all day long. Violet played that rattle. Could she find other babies to play along? No, she couldn't. But she'd keep looking. Violet played her music all alone. On Violet's second birthday, Aunt Bertha brought gifts and a box full of paper, crayons, glitter, and glue to make horns that would wail. Violet tooted from morning till that night. Wah, woo, woo, all day long. She tried to get everyone to toot with her all day. Wah, woo, woo, oh yeah, Violet blew that horn. Could she get her family to play with her? No, she couldn't, but she'd keep on looking. Violet blew her horn all alone. Violet wondered in kindergarten if there were other kids like her who dreamed music, thought music all day long. But she found out that some liked to paint, some liked to paste, others liked to play in the sandbox, and still others just liked to stand around eating paste. No one wanted to play music all day long. One day, At the beach, Violet played with a badminton racket, a pretend guitar, hoping someone would join in. Plink, plink, pluck, pluck. Violet played guitar. Could she find a fellow guitarist buried in the sand? No, she couldn't. But she'd keep looking. Violet played her guitar all alone. With Violet, you see, it was music all the time. Breakfast time, dinner time, bath time, and all times in between. Whenever she walked down the street or hid behind the market's vegetable bins or sat on the fire escape, Violet was always looking for kids like her. Could she find them at the zoo? Nope. At the museum? Too quiet. And forget about the dentist. But she'd keep looking. Violet and her music, always looking. Until one day, a few summers later, Violet was playing her guitar, a real one now, in the park. Twang, twang, yeah, yeah. Twang, twang, yeah. When, over by the fountain, someone started beating a drum. Then, behind the jungle gym, a saxophone blew real smooth. And over beside the flower garden, someone started to sing. Now, Angel, Randy, and Juan are in Violet's band. And if you ask any of them whether they thought they'd find each other, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we did. We knew we would. 'Cause when we were in the nursery, then we're two, and later in kindergarten, and at the beach, we kept on looking for kids playing music too." Shake, twang, plink, pluck, wah, woo, yeah.
I love that story, both because of the understanding of music, but also because I have heard from so many people over the years that when they found Unitarian Universalism, that was the feeling that they had. They finally found their people. Next up for us today is our Share the Plate initiative. This month, Black Lives Matter is who we are sharing our plate with. What goes to Share the Plate? Half of the checks made out to GNUUC with the memo Share the Plate, and half of the online donations tagged with the account Share the Plate. Pardon me. We'll be watching a few minutes of this video highlighting the leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement. For those of you supporting this congregation with the recurring pledge through Breeze, thank you. You make your own lives simpler and you make our planning much more agile. For those who haven't done that yet, you have 3 ways to contribute right now: with a paper check, by texting, or by clicking donate at our website. So as you decide how you're going to donate, enjoy this 3-minute video of the founders of Black Lives Matter.
So Alicia, you said that when Black people are free, everyone is free. Can you talk about what that means?
Sure. So I think race and racism is probably the most studied social, economic, and political phenomenon in this country, but it's also the least understood. The reality is that race in the United States operates on a spectrum from black to white. Doesn't mean that people who are in between don't experience racism, but it means that the closer you are to white on that spectrum, the better off you are. And the closer to black that you are on that spectrum, the worse off you are. When we think about how we address problems in this country, we often start from a place of trickle-down justice. So using white folks as the control, we say, well, if we make things better for white folks, then everybody else is going to get free. But actually, it doesn't work that way. We have to address problems at the root. And when you deal with what's happening in Black communities, it creates an effervescence, right? So a bubble up rather than a trickle down. Let me give an example. When we talk about the wage gap, we often say women make 78 cents to every dollar that a man makes. Y'all have heard that before. But those are the statistics for white women and white men. The reality is that Black women make something like 64 cents to every 78 cents that white women make. When we talk about Latinas, it goes down to about 58 cents. If we were to talk about Indigenous women, if we were to talk about trans women, it would even go farther down. So again, if you deal with those who are the most impacted, everybody has an opportunity to benefit from that, rather than dealing with the folks who are not as impacted, right, and expecting it to trickle down.
So I love the effervescence bubbling up.
Effervescence, like
Instead of
champagne.
trickling down. Exactly. And who doesn't love a glass of champagne, right? Champagne and freedom, right? What more could we want, y'all? So you all have been doing this for a minute, and the last few years have been, well, I can't even imagine, but I'm sure very transformative. And I know that you all have learned a lot about leadership. What do you want to share with these people about what you've learned about leadership? Patrice, let's start with you.
Yeah, we have to invest in Black leadership. That's what I've learned the most in the last few years. What we've seen is thousands of Black people showing up for our lives with very little infrastructure and very little support. I think our work as movement leaders isn't just about our own visibility, but rather how do we make the whole visible? How do we not just fight for our individual selves, but fight for everybody? And I also think leadership looks like everybody in this audience showing up for Black lives. It's not just about coming and watching people on a stage, right? It's about how do you become that leader, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's in your home, and believe that the movement for Black lives isn't just for us, but it's for everybody.
Thank you for your support of GNUUC and causes in line with our mission. Let me tell you a little bit about Elizabeth Marlowe. She comes to Nashville by way of Athens, Georgia, and her indie rock roots show in her unique songwriting style. She has been penning songs since the age of 12, everything from hard rock to Americana. And by the age of 20, she had already fronted a popular all-girl rock band and played bass in a jazz ensemble. Graduated law school and began her career as an entertainment attorney, but soon realized her talent and passion were songwriting. After a few years of juggling her clients' meetings with her own publisher appointments in Nashville, she realized her true calling. She began making frequent writing trips to Nashville, and within 3 years of moving to town, she was offered her first major publishing deal with Rare Spark Media Group. Here at GNUUC, Elizabeth has served on the board, offered music during services, including one memorable time when we were the world debut for a song that she had written, I think just finishing that morning. She's given us her insight and her honesty and her wholehearted support. I'm so grateful we get to hear her message today.
I wrote the very first song.
If there was a soundtrack to your life, what would it be? Who would be singing? Would it be a compilation of upbeat show tunes, melancholy blues, protest songs, a carnival calliope? Is there one particular song that defines your life? Think about it for a moment. For me, there's one song that always comes back around. Alone Again, Naturally, by Gilbert O'Sullivan. Yes, I know that it's probably one of the saddest, most depressing songs ever written, but it's also beautiful in so many ways and so meaningful to me. I heard it for the first time when I was 8 years old. I was a lonely child. I had one or two friends, neighbor kids, Roz and John. They would play with me, but none of the other neighbor kids would. Sometimes I'd tag along when Roz and John would go play with them, but they were always mean to me. I never felt safe or at ease. At school, I was teased and bullied starting in the 3rd grade. I had abusive parents, so there was no respite for me there. But then there was this song. When I heard this song, I couldn't believe my ears. I didn't know anyone else who felt like me at school, who was teased like me, lonely like me. I went to a pretty small suburban elementary school, and as much as I looked around, I didn't notice anyone else eating their lunch alone or coming to school with bruises or Band-Aids. But here was this Irish guy, abandoned at the altar, abandoned by his so-called friends at the wedding, no family to speak of except his distant mother, and then she dies. A man at rock bottom on the brink of suicide. I didn't even know what suicide was. I wasn't even familiar with the concept of it yet. All I knew was this song made me feel something. As sad as it was, and as much as it was about loneliness, it made me feel like I was not alone. I always loved music. I asked for and received a close and play phonograph for my 6th birthday, and every time I had a little money given to me by an aunt or my grandmother, I'd ask to go down to Bradley's, and I would buy as many 45s as I could. I lived a life like Angie Baby, sans the insanity, alone in my room listening to records. My world was Bobby Sherman, Donny Osmond, Michael Jackson, the Partridge Family, and then the Carpenters, ABBA, Bee Gees. I was a sucker for harmonies. I know that now, but I didn't realize at the time what drew me to those songs. In 4th grade, I started playing drums in school band because Karen Carpenter played drums. I was androgynous in appearance, a true tomboy who preferred exploring the woods behind my house to playing with dolls. This, of course, was what got me teased, but I didn't know how else to be. I also didn't know anyone else like me. I think Karen Carpenter became my role model because she was tough. She wasn't a girly girl talking about kissing boys and wearing dresses and putting on makeup. She was a badass that played the drums. I wanted to be like her, and when things got bad, I locked myself in my bedroom and listened to Carpenter songs. I'd listen.
I'll say goodbye to love. No one ever cared if I should leave or die. Time and time again, the chance for love has passed me by, and all I know of love is how to live without it.
And I imagined I was her. My sister made fun of my taste in music, and by the time I was 12, I realized she was right. I needed to grow up my taste in music. I started listening to WSHE, She 103, the best of 70s album rock. I don't know what the hell they were playing. Bands like Nectar and Procol Harum. I started taking my sister's records and figuring out what I liked. One day I pulled a random album out of her collection by someone with the weird name of Dan Fogelberg. I liked his face. He had long hair. He was very androgynous looking himself. He posed in a rocking chair, holding a feather in his hand. I liked it. I listened to it. I loved it. My first experience and exposure to a singer-songwriter. Part of the plan. Better change. Man, there's a place in the world for a gambler.
There's a place in the world for a gambler. There's a burden that only can bear.
He was like 22 when he wrote that album, his second album. On my 13th birthday, I asked for an acoustic guitar. My parents were good at buying me things, the only expression of parental involvement that they could muster. And so I got one. They offered me 2 guitar lessons. The rest was up to me. And that guitar became my best friend, my only friend, my love, my protector, my shield. I learned how to play songs by Fogelberg. Jackson Browne, Carl King, Carla Bonoff. And then I learned how to write my own songs. I could say what I needed to say, and nobody was listening. Nobody ever heard those early songs. I don't even know what happened to most of them, unfortunately. But my guitar heard me, helped me, never judged me, never hurt me. But one day, I don't know when, I never even noticed it happening. I just kind of stopped. I got busy. Must have been around the time I started law school. I was overwhelmed with work. I had moved to Athens because it was a music mecca, but when I got there, music took a back seat. Not because I didn't need it, but I just didn't have time. How quickly I forgot its healing powers. I was still sad, I was still lonely, but now I was too busy for my old friend, that guitar in the case in the closet. I started watching TV when I was bored. I just stopped listening to music. I had a brief marriage that was wrong on so many levels, but it resulted in a son, a wonderful, magical being who absorbed all of my time. I was happy to do it. All the emptiness I had inside, the loneliness, the sadness, I pushed it all away and became a mother. Everything I had and more was devoted to raising this wondrous child. No music, no. No feelings of my own. But we all know what happens when we push that stuff down, neglect our inner selves, our needs, our emotions. There ain't a suitcase big enough to hold all that. I found myself about to burst. Nobody to talk to, focused on being a great mom to a little kid. So in the late 90s, I dusted off that old guitar. And what do you know? I started strumming the strings, reacquainting myself with everything I'd learned over the years, and I started writing again. I started making room for music again. In 2004, I suffered a major, devastating health crisis. I was in the hospital often. I could no longer go to work. I spent a lot of time in bed, listening to music. My muse was still alive, but lying dormant underneath the surface like a cicada waiting to feel the sun, or maybe a sunflower getting ready to erupt through the soil is a better image. Soon I was writing again. Once again, my guitar brought me back to life and saved me. I was no longer able to sustain the physicality and mental sharpness required of my law practice, but the 2 or 3 hour bursts of energy that I could manage almost always rewarded me with a new song. In 2009, we moved to Nashville. Music became my world, creating it, listening to it, enjoying it, playing it, immersed in songs in a city built on songs. I was signed to a songwriting deal for a major publisher, writing songs every day with other writers and artists, living the dream. I was still single, still lonely, still felt a little outside the circle, a little bit left out. But just as it had come through for me as a child, my old guitar was there for me, just waiting, ready, not judging, impossible not to pick up. When I'm lost in a song, the world and all of its worries dissolve. So what about you? We are teachers, doctors, homemakers, accountants, bus drivers, food workers. We aren't all professional musicians. Maybe you think you can't carry a tune in a bucket, or you've been told you have no rhythm, so you don't even try. You mumble out the words at church because people are watching, but in your car, you are Beyonce. Look, I'm no Carole King, but that never stops me, so I want us to sing a song together via Zoom. It's an easy one, everyone knows it, even the Muppets can sing it. But I want you to sing it loud, with feeling, from the privacy of your home. Turn off your camera if you want to, but sing it out. It's called Kokomo. So let's change up the mood a little bit and put a smile on every face.
Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you. Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? Jamaica, off the Florida Keys. There's a place called Kokomo. That's where you wanna go to get away from it all. Ooh. Bodies in the sand, tropical drink melting in your hand. We'll be falling in love to the rhythm of a steel drum band. Down in Kokomo, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down in Kokomo. Martinique, that Montserrat mystique. We'll go out to sea and perfect our chemistry. By and by we'll defy a little bit of gravity. Afternoon delight, cocktails and moonlit nights. That dreamy look in your eye under a tropical island sky. Way down in Kokomo, Jamaica, ooh, I wanna take you to Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go? We'll get there fast and then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Way down in Kokomo.
There now, don't you feel better? Music connects us to the world and to each other. Imagine yourself at a concert. We all have different musical tastes, so let's just use Justin Timberlake as a good example. There ain't a person alive who doesn't love JT, and if you don't love JT, then maybe you just haven't heard enough JT.
You know, I still believe it. You and me. 'Cause every night I go to sleep, I can see it like a movie in my dreams.
Anyway, you're at a JT concert because he's your favorite, and you're sitting next to a very conservative looking family. You just know they drove up in a big old honking pickup truck and maybe even have a Trump sticker on it. But I don't want to go there. The dad has a beard, Charlie Daniels shirt, Colt 45 belt buckle, not the malt liquor. He's giving you a couple dirty looks because you're sitting there in your Love is Love rainbow t-shirt. But you're trying to keep an open mind. Anyhow, the music starts and JT is on fire. And next thing you know, you're dancing, and Bubba next to you is dancing, and he's lifting his little baby up over his head and laughing and being silly, and you're laughing because it's a sweet moment. And the next thing you know, JT is bringing sexy back, and you are doing the bump with Bubba. You're both smiling through the whole show, and at the end of it, you nod at each other, maybe even shake hands and agree what a great show it was. You have made a connection where one never seemed possible. Yes, music connects us to each other. People often fall in love when they don't even speak the same language, but they know the words to the songs, and that's enough to get any relationship off to a good start. Imagine if world leaders sang songs together at every summit.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul away.
Music unites us. Why is Sweet Caroline sung at every ball game? The ba-ba-bas aren't even in the song. Why do we sing We Shall Overcome at every protest march and rally? Because certain songs bring us together and make us feel connected as humans. The power of music has been very important in my life. For all of us, it can temper the sadness, enhance the joy, soften the loneliness, mute the anger. That last one is even more important these days in these critical times. I used to be a news junkie. I have been ever since 9/11. These days, the news just upsets me. I get frustrated and pissed off every time I hear another word out of that guy's mouth. I find it alters my mood, and I carry that anger with me throughout the day. So I stopped. Instead, now I turn to the simple joy of lowering an LP onto a turntable and dropping the needle, the satisfying clicks and pops, the magic of asking Alexa to play Louis Armstrong. I dare you to be mad when listening to A Foggy Day in London Town.
A foggy day in London town had me low and had me down.
You've heard the Muppets, you've heard Justin Timberlake, you've heard Louis Armstrong. It's all the same. The song remains the same. Music heals us. It connects and unites us. It forms us. It saves us. It's an anchor, a light, a heart that will always beat for you. Songs are drugs, mood enhancers without the hangover. They make every good time better, every romantic moment deeper, every heartbreak more profound, yet so soothing in its familiarity. We start out in life, we thrust and parry, we bob and weave, we survive as best we can until the end. Every day is a new day, a new challenge. Everything changes. Everything changes. But no matter what life hurls at us, wherever the earth spins us next, whatever disaster may lie ahead, the song remains the same. When you find yourselves in times of trouble, turn to it. May it heal you, heal all of us. May it heal the world.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for the laughter and the tears and the song and the idea of doing the bump with Bubba at the JT concert. That is great imagery. The mood enhancing drug that heals us. And finally, we get one final song that Elizabeth wrote and she performs for us now, Girl with the Guitar.
Did you hear the one about the girl lost in the dreams? People say she won't amount to anything. She has no master plan. Her whole life is broken down in a verse and rhyme, joined in time on steel strings. might play it for you now, and if it is close to home, you're not alone. No, you're not alone. I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar, doing my best to find myself on every stage in every bar. So let me sing my song to you. It'll do me good to give away my heart. I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar. If you hear a line that resonates with you, make no mistake, I can feel it too. When I string a melody like lights up on a Christmas tree, the music turns these simple words into shared truth. But even if you don't get me, I hope you understand. This is who I am. This is who I am. I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar, doing my best to find myself on every stage in every bar. So let me sing my song to you. It'll do me good to give away my heart. Yeah, I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar. Don't be afraid to look me in the eye. I know my power is strong and my light is bright, and I just might, oh I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar, doing my best to find myself on every stage and every bar. So let me sing my song to you. It'll do me good to give away my heart. Yeah, I just might change the world. Just a girl with a guitar. Did you hear the one about the child lost in her dreams?
Thank you so, so much, Elizabeth. That was all just fantastic. The sharing of joys and concerns is a special time for our congregation. It's an opportunity to be heard by these folks who know and support you, or if you are new, it's a way to give us insight into your lives. Please know that what you are sharing will be held with kindness and love in our hearts. And do remember that the service is being recorded to be posted on YouTube, so choose what you share accordingly. We ask that your sharing be concise so that all may have a space to share as they feel led. The worship committee had a retreat yesterday, and we came up with some new ideas and ways to help make the entire service more accessible and even more wonderful for all of us. So Jesse has a few new directions about how we'll be handling joys and concerns today.
First, I'd like to say thank you, Elizabeth, for simply a wonderful service. I just have to say that first. That was just beautiful, and I love your song. I would like to know where I could buy it. So for today, for joys and concerns, that was my joy. I get to go first. The other is we're going to try something a little bit different. Like for you to notice if you sort of hover your cursor, if you touch near the bottom of your screen, or for some of you the top of your screen, you get all those commands that you sort of see with you can see participants, chat, different things like that along the bottom. It sort of pops up. If it doesn't, don't worry. We'll have another time where you can actually try this out. But I'd like for you to try out, if you could touch participants. And what you'll see there is you'll see a list of everybody who's there, and you'll also see a place there where you can actually click a yes. You know, there are a number of different things that you can click there. You can raise your hand. Yeah, exactly. So I see a number of people are seeing that now. So what I'm going to ask you to do is we'll start with joys and concerns there. So raise your hand. If you see the blue hand, you can raise that. If you don't see that, you can just click a yes. That'll let me know that you're interested in sharing a joy or concern. I'll call on these people first. That way, you don't have to spend the entire joys and concerns trying to get my attention. You can simply raise the hand once, I'll see it, I'll call on you in order. And then if you don't see where the participant is, you have no idea what I'm talking about, then I will start calling on people simply to raise their hand, and then we'll go to phones. Does that sound all right to everybody? All right, let's try this. And I'm going to go and clear everybody's, because some people were practicing raising their hand. So now for reals, go ahead and raise your hand virtually. And Sandy, if you need to raise your hand like that, you absolutely can. But go ahead and click yes or raise your hand there if you would like to share. But Sandy, why don't we start with you since you got in early. So I'm going to ask you to unmute. You can unmute yourself and then share your joy or concern.
Okay.
Larry's going to have to
Some
mute.
reverb.
So Larry can
My joy is the service itself today. Elizabeth, you are now an even closer friend of mine. I loved everything you said. I felt it deeply that you didn't find your niche right away. I understand. You gave us a great gift today. Thank you.
I light a candle for your joy. And I see, I don't know who the fire tablet is, but let's see. I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute, and you can share your joy or concern. Okay, we'll go on to the next person. You might have to wave at me because I just don't know who has the fire tablet. Okay, Larry, I see you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Elizabeth really touched me with
you might need to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My profound experience with music was largely the blues. When I went through a divorce, my first marriage, and I was lower than a snake's belly, and the blues just grabbed me. It said you acknowledge the pain, but there's this thing. I don't care how much pain, I'm going to beat it. And that truth was in Elizabeth's presentation today, and it really touched me. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Larry, I light a candle for your joy, which we are all sharing. Barbara, let me go ahead and ask you to unmute. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if my name's up there. It's fire. It's the fire tablet that I have.
Fire.
Anyhow.
Your fire tablet. All right. Nice to meet the fire tablet.
Okay, fine. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your music. It was beautiful. I enjoyed it so much. I particularly enjoyed the little story. But I also want to inform the congregation that Judy Getz has fallen and she's hurt her hip. And I'm sure she would love to have cards sent or phone calls. So I give my prayers and thoughts to Judy Getz.
Thank you, Barbara. I light a candle in recognition of a concern that we will all share. Thank you. Susan, I see you. And you can unmute yourself now.
Yes, I just was very, very impressed and loved everything that Elizabeth had to say about her journey with music. We've always had a lot of music in our family, and I was also in music myself, not not like she is, but just enjoyed being in band and in concert band at Ohio State and things like that over the years. But one of the things that really touched me musically that I experienced was down in Haiti when we were there, listening to the women sing in harmony beautifully at the church concerts that we would go to there. And everything was so primitive, but when you were sitting there listening to this, you thought you were in the most splendid cathedral. It was just an amazing experience. And I just always think of that when you think of people who have absolutely nothing in life, but they find their own joy somehow. And I think that's what Elizabeth did.
Susan, I light a candle for your shared joy. All right, and for those of you who did not find your participant, Linda, let me go ahead and ask you to unmute. And you'll need to unmute yourself. There you are.
Okay. Elizabeth, thank you very much. Music has been in my life all over the place. I think everybody there at the church knows that. But the most poignant moment for me in music was when my daughter Kathleen died. She and I had a slightly estranged relationship, but I ended up listening to to Dream the Impossible Dream from Don Quixote, and at that moment it occurred to me I had just never understood her.
Thank you so much, Linda. Light a candle for your joy of remembrance. Go ahead and feel free to raise your hand if you would like to share a joy or concern. Bob, let me go ahead and ask you to unmute.
Thank you, Elizabeth. It was a great story, and I can understand. I was bullied a lot when I was a young man, and I can understand how you can get distanced from people, and I understand about music. Thank you.
If anyone else would like to share a joy or concern, go ahead and raise your physical or virtual hand. Then let me go ahead and light a candle for all those joys and concerns too deeply held to be shared. Let's join together and listen to and sing along and the refrain for this upcoming song is How Can I Keep From Singing? Remember that we are all muted again, so you can feel free to sing out and join in the song. This is from the New York City Virtual Choir.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, no far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost song, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? While all the time the surrounding wars, I know the truth in living.
Please join me in reading our extinguishing words. They are from Becky Laurent, and they will be on our screen in just a minute. It's called As Breath to Song. As flame is to spirit, so spirit is to breath, and breath to song. Though we extinguish the flame today, may we tend it in our hearts until we meet again. Again, thank you, Elizabeth, for creating a beautiful service for us today. And now Jesse will explain our options for coffee chat and discussion.
Again, thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I'd also like to say thank Jenny and to Kristen and to everyone who every week works to put together these wonderful services. Summer songs are always a wonderful time to get to know one another better and to really connect. And especially at this time, that is, Elizabeth, an incalculable gift. So thank you. So as we've done in the last few weeks, we'll have the opportunity to break out into different rooms, and again we'll try this using the virtual raising of the hand. So I'd like to keep this main room for an opportunity to talk a little bit more with Elizabeth and maybe share the music that shaped our lives as well. If you'd like to talk about sort of other things, so I call it the chit chat breakout room. If you'd like to go there and just sort of connect and say hello, then there'll be a special room for you. You have the opportunity to join back into our main room at any point. But if you would raise your hand, if you'd like to sort of be in the chit chat room, raise your hand for the chit chat room. And I see Larry and I see Mary. And in just a moment, okay, and Bob, okay, I see you. Let me go ahead and prepare these. Go ahead and put your hand up virtually if you can. And that'll make it a little bit easier for me. Okay, so let's see, Larry. Okay, Larry, I'll put you over there. Mary, I'll put you over there. And Bob, you had your hand up just a little bit before. Who else is interested in being in the chit chat room? Okay, Barbara, you're interested in the chit chat room. Oh, come on, you. So one of the interesting things is that every once in a while, and I'm going to go ahead and allow everyone to be unmuted now, so you can unmute yourselves. Okay, great. You call unmute yourselves now. Zoom will change things and update, and it is always an interesting challenge for me to be able to keep up with everything. And they've made one more change, which is making my rooms a little bit more difficult. So who else was it? Barbara. Who else is interested in being in the chit chat room? Linda, you're interested in the chit chat room? Okay. Raise your hand. Okay, Linda. Okay, and I also see Fran is interested in the chit chat room. Fran. Okay, and Sandy. All right, anyone else interested in the chit chat room? All right, I'm going to go ahead and recreate that room manually. Recreate all rooms. Give me one quick moment and I'll have you all in there and then we can begin our conversations.
Which you already did.
And Robert and Barbara, yes.
I disconnected somehow earlier. I actually wanted to go to the room to stay with Elizabeth.
Okay, I will leave you there then. That sounds
Thank you.
Absolutely. I feel like such a bad parent. I'm sending everyone to their rooms. All right, the rooms are opening now, and you're welcome to go in there and continue your conversation.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth, I realized just by the songs that we are about the same age, because man, the music you were talking about and the specific songs that you were talking about, you know, spoke to me as well so much, you know.
Really?
Absolutely. And in particular, you know, when you mentioned Alone Again, at that point we'd moved, my parents divorced when I was young, adult, down to rural Florida, outside of Fort Myers, and there was no one. There was no library. There was no movie place. And nobody understood where I was coming from. And I listened to Alone Again. It was like, that's me.
Yeah. Sans the climbing up to the top of the tower and flinging yourself off. That was, that song, that's as low as it gets.
Absolutely.
It's like one punch after another. But boy, it's almost like sometimes I feel like when something really awful happens, you don't want to wallow in it, but then you kind of do. Sometimes wallowing feels really good, just having a big old cry and throwing things and punching your pillow and being like the most pathetic thing in the world and moving on, getting it out of your system and moving on is the best. But I feel like it's really a good wallow to listen to that song.
Elizabeth?
Yes,
Jesse,
ma'am.
can you stop the recording?
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for reminding me. I will never be able to remember that because it's